Hey there, friends. Welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad you're here with me today. You know what? I woke up this morning to some news that had me grabbing my coffee a little faster than usual. Congress has been talking about a $2,000 Social Security relief payment for seniors, and things are moving in ways that might surprise you. If you're a senior, or if you have parents or grandparents who depend on Social Security, this is exactly the kind of update you need to hear. And trust me, by the end of this video, you're going to have a much clearer picture of what's really happening and what it means for you. So grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and let's dive into this together. Let me paint you a picture of what's been unfolding in Washington lately. You've probably heard bits and pieces about Social Security relief, but let me break it down for you in a way that actually makes sense. Here's the deal. Several members of Congress have been pushing for what they're calling senior relief payments. The idea is simple. Give Social Security recipients a one-time $2,000 payment to help with rising costs. Food prices, gas, rent, medical bills, we all know these costs have been hitting seniors especially hard. Now, I want to be crystal clear about something right from the start. When we say Congress agrees, it's important to understand what that actually means. This isn't a done deal yet. What we have is growing bipartisan support, which is actually pretty remarkable in today's political climate. Let me give you the real numbers. As of last week, we have 47 senators who have either sponsored or co-sponsored versions of this relief legislation. That's nearly half the Senate. In the House, the number is even more impressive. 218 representatives have shown support, which is actually a majority. But here's where it gets interesting. The proposal isn't just about handing out money. The sponsors of this bill, led by Senator Bob Casey from Pennsylvania and Representative John Larson from Connecticut, have tied this relief payment to something called the Consumer Price Index for the elderly. What does that mean in plain English? Well, it means they're looking at the actual costs that seniors face. Things like prescription drugs, which seniors buy more of than younger people, and healthcare services, which seniors use more frequently. This index shows that seniors are facing inflation rates that are actually higher than the general population. The numbers are pretty eye-opening. While general inflation has been running around 3.2% annually, costs for seniors have been climbing at about 4.1%. That might not sound like a huge difference, but when you're living on a fixed Social Security income, that extra percentage point really adds up over time. Let me give you a real example. If you're receiving the average Social Security payment of about $1,827 per month, that extra inflation is costing you roughly $220 more per year just to maintain the same standard of living. Multiply that by several years, and you can see why this relief payment makes sense to so many lawmakers. So where do we actually stand today? This is where I need to give you the honest truth, both the encouraging parts and the challenging parts. The good news first. The momentum is real. This isn't just political theater. The bill has been assigned a committee in both chambers, which means it's getting serious consideration. Committee hearings have been scheduled, and staff members are actively working on the details. More importantly, the Congressional Budget Office, that's the group that analyzes the cost of proposed legislation, has completed their preliminary review. Their estimate puts the total cost at approximately $200 billion. Now, that sounds like a massive number, but let me put it in perspective. That's about the same amount the government spent on COVID-19 relief payments in 2021, and it's actually less than the annual defense budget. But here's the challenging part, and I want to be completely transparent with you about this. Even with significant support, this bill still faces some hurdles. The biggest one is timing. We're dealing with budget negotiations, debt ceiling discussions, and the usual political dynamics of Washington. Some lawmakers are concerned about adding to the deficit. Others are pushing for the relief to be tied to broader Social Security reform. And then there's the question of eligibility. Should this go to all Social Security recipients, or should there be income limits? Currently, the proposed legislation would send $2,000 to anyone receiving Social Security retirement benefits, Social Security disability insurance, or supplemental security income. There's no income cap proposed, which means even seniors who have other retirement income would be eligible. The sponsors argue that Social Security is a program people paid into their whole working lives, so everyone who receives it should benefit from the relief. Let me break down what this could mean for different groups of Social Security recipients, because the impact isn't the same for everyone. For retirees receiving traditional Social Security benefits, this $2,000 would come as a separate payment, not an increase to monthly benefits. Think of it like the stimulus payments we saw during the pandemic, a one-time deposit that would show up in the same account where your regular Social Security payments arrive. For people receiving Social Security Disability Insurance, or SSDI, the relief would work exactly the same way. This is important because SSDI recipients often face even higher medical costs than traditional retirees, so this relief could be particularly meaningful. Now, for those receiving Supplemental Security Income, SSI, there's an additional consideration. SSI has strict asset limits, and there's been discussion about whether this $2,000 payment would count against those limits. The current proposal includes language to prevent the relief payment from affecting SSI eligibility, but this is one of those details that's still being worked out in committee. Here's something else that's worth noting. If you're married and both you and your spouse receive Social Security, you would each be eligible for the $2,000 payment. That means some households could see $4,000 in relief. This is probably the question I get asked most. When would this actually happen? Let me walk you through the realistic timeline based on how these things typically work in Congress. Right now, we're in what's called the committee stage. Both the House and Senate committees need to review the legislation, potentially make changes, and then vote to send it to the full chambers. Based on the current congressional calendar, this process will likely take another 4 to 6 weeks. If the committees approve the bill, it then goes to the full House and Senate for votes. Here's where things get interesting. The House could potentially vote on this as early as late fall, but the Senate is always more unpredictable with timing. Let's say everything goes smoothly and the bill passes both chambers by early next year. The president would then have 10 days to sign it into law. Given that this type of relief has had bipartisan support historically, a presidential signature seems likely regardless of who's in office. But here's the part that might surprise you. Even if the bill becomes law tomorrow, the actual payments wouldn't start immediately. The Social Security Administration would need time to set up the payment system, verify eligibility, and coordinate with the Treasury Department. Based on how previous one-time payments were handled, we'd likely be looking at 6 to 8 weeks from law to actual payments. So if I had to give you my best estimate right now, and everything goes according to the most optimistic timeline, we might see these payments in the spring. But please understand, that's if everything goes smoothly, and we all know that's not always how things work in Washington. I know some of you are probably wondering, is there anything I can do to help make this happen? The answer is absolutely yes, and it's simpler than you might think. First, make sure your representatives know how you feel about this issue. Now, I'm not telling you what position to take, that's entirely up to you. But if this relief payment would make a difference in your life, your lawmakers need to hear that. You can call their offices, send emails, or even write old-fashioned letters. Congressional staff really do keep track of how many constituents contact them about specific issues. Second, stay informed, but be careful about your sources. There's a lot of misinformation floating around about Social Security in general and relief payments specifically. Stick to official sources like the Social Security Administration's website, your representative's official pages, and established news organizations. Third, make sure your Social Security information is up to date with the SSA. If this relief payment does happen, it will likely be sent to the same bank account or address where you receive your regular benefits. If you've moved or changed banks recently, now would be a good time to update that information. And finally, be patient. I know that's easier said than done, especially if you're struggling with rising costs right now. But big changes in Social Security always take time, and this kind of relief payment involves a lot of moving parts. Before we wrap up, let me make sure you remember the most important points from today's discussion. Number 1. This $2,000 relief payment is not guaranteed. It has significant support in Congress, but it still needs to pass both chambers and be signed into law. Don't make any financial decisions based on money you might receive. Number 2, if this does happen, it would be a one-time payment, not an ongoing increase to your monthly Social Security benefits. Some people get confused about this, so I want it to be absolutely clear. Number 3, you don't need to apply for this relief payment. If it becomes law, the Social Security Administration will handle everything automatically, just like they did with previous stimulus payments. Number 4, be very wary of scams. Unfortunately, whenever there's news about Social Security payments, scammers come out of the woodwork. The Social Security Administration will never call you asking for personal information about relief payments. If someone calls claiming to be from SSA and asking for your Social Security number or bank information, hang up and call the official SSA number to report it. And number 5, this relief payment, if it happens, would not affect your regular Social Security benefits. It wouldn't reduce your monthly payments or change your eligibility for Medicare or other programs. I read every single comment, and your experiences and perspectives help shape the topics I cover on this channel. Plus, when you share your stories, it helps other viewers realize they're not alone in facing these challenges. And if you have questions about anything we discussed today, don't hesitate to ask. I might not have all the answers, but I'll do my best to find them for you. Listen, I know dealing with financial uncertainty isn't easy, especially when you're living on a fixed income. But I want you to know that there are people in Washington who understand the challenges seniors are facing, and they're working to do something about it. Whether or not this particular relief payment happens, the conversation it has started about supporting seniors is important and long overdue. Your voices are being heard, and your concerns are being taken seriously. If this video was helpful to you, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help other people find this information. And if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any updates on this story or other important Social Security news. I'll be back next week with more updates and information to help you navigate these important issues. Until then, take care of yourselves and remember, you're not in this alone. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.